We have searched the internet high and low, using sites in the UK, US and Europe to put together this list of 7 cheap tuner cars you can buy right now. Stick around to see what made the list and how much cash you would need to part with to start your next project. We start our list with the cheapest car in all regions, the Mazda RX-8. Now we have covered this car in our cheap drift cars video in the description, and it rightfully features on our tuner list for a few reasons. Price-wise, the RX-8 can be found for around £3,000 in the UK, $4,000 to $6,000 in the US, and around €3,000 using Germany as a central point of comparison. Performance-wise, these cars are a hoot, mostly because you have to drive the RX-8 in the top half of its range, giving you the full rotary soundtrack more often. This is because the engine struggles with torque at low revs. Couple this with the unique rotary sound and you will have a soundtrack that will put a smile on your face every time. The RX-8 came with 2 engine outputs, the 4-port, which made 192 horsepower in the UK and 189 horsepower in the US, and the 6-port, which bumped power to 238 horsepower in the UK and 237 horsepower for the US. At this price, despite the limited engine potential due to being naturally aspirated, and prone to issues with back pressure if turbocharged, the RX-8 is a great cheap car that any tuner can make into a fun car with limited mods. Whether it's your daily, a track or drift car, the RX-8 is a great choice. Just make sure you do your research and check the car's history against known issues with these rotary engines. Next, we have the Golf GTI, the Mark V to be specific. Now this does not have the EA888 we praise so highly on this channel, but this does not matter, because the 2-litre turbo in this Golf is more than capable stock and can make serious power when tuned. Stage 1 tunes can push the car north of 250 horsepower with similar torque numbers. This upgrade brings the car's 0 to 60 down into the mid 5-second range. Considering that a Stage 1 tune is fairly cheap and you can find the Mark V GTI for around £3,000 in the UK, $6,000 to $8,000 in the US and €4,000 in Germany, this is a genuinely great car, with cheap tuning potential, that you can drive every day, or at the track, for a very reasonable price. Next, we have the supercar killing potential of the Honda Civic. Now we all know that a Civic with a laptop is by far the fastest car in the world. If we ran one against a Bugatti Chiron, it would destroy the top speed record. But Honda drivers are calm, restrained, respectable drivers who want to allow the millionaires to have their records, and we applaud them for this. However, back to the car, the Civic in all its model years has some great tuning potential, mostly because the Japanese make some truly bulletproof engines out the box. In the UK and Europe, you can find early 2000 Type R Civics for £3,000 to £4,000 in the UK and around €4,000 in Germany. For the US, the SI seems to be the best model at an affordable price point of around $7,000 to $8,000. Popular mods include turbo kits with the Honda blocks handling the boost incredibly well. They can also be supercharged if you wanted to take another approach, and 300 horsepower plus cars are not uncommon. With the high numbers and their widespread use, the aftermarket parts catalog for Civics is huge, and you will not struggle to find step-by-step guides on how to turn any cheap Honda into a supercar crusher. Next, we have another Japanese performance car, the Subaru Impreza WRX. Now you can get many versions of this car. At our price point, you will be looking at early 2000 models including lower mileage bug eyes and blob eyes mostly. In the UK, you can find these cars for around £3,000 to £4,000. In the US you would be looking at $6,000 to $7,000, and in Germany, around €5,000. For this you would get a 2-litre turbo up until 2005 with the 2.5 replacing it afterwards. These engines are great for tuning as long as they are maintained properly, as they can be prone to failure if over-abused and under-maintained. The 2-litre gave the car 227 horsepower, which could be increased to around 260 horsepower with a Stage 1 tune costing just a few hundred. With the all-wheel drive setup, these cars are great fun on solid or loose surfaces, making them great rally or rallycross cars as well as fun track cars and accomplished daily drivers with a unique sound. This sound comes to us due to the unequal length exhaust headers. This can be solved with aftermarket parts, but why would you? Our next car can sometimes be a little hard to come by, but if you do, it has insane potential. We are talking about the Lexus IS300. Another car we featured in our cheap drift cars video. The IS300 has the naturally aspirated 2J engine. This gave the car 217 horsepower, but in true 2J fashion, the engines could handle boost straight out the factory, making turbo conversions a common sight on these cars. Given that the Turbo 2J put down a claimed 321 horsepower, this car can become a real handful for very little outlay given how regularly this conversion is done. Price-wise, if you can find one in the UK, you will need to part with around £6,000. Stateside it is slightly easier to find. Not easy, but easier than the UK, and at prices of around $4,000 to $6,000, and in Germany, for around €7,500. As you might have seen, the price of the cars is slowly creeping up. Our last two are the most expensive on our list, starting with the Nissan 350Z/Infiniti G35. Now these cars are pretty much identical mechanically. They came with a range of outputs from the entry G35s with 260 horsepower up to the latest and highest trim cars offering over 300 horsepower. Both came equipped with a 3.5-litre V6. By design, the 350Z is more track and fast road focused, with the more luxury Infiniti model being factory tuned more for cruising, but both cars handle all situations well. These cars can also be boosted, however. In our opinion, the naturally aspirated V6 noise these cars make with a nice exhaust and intake is worth the sacrifice of horsepower, especially when the car comes pretty well powered from the factory. UK prices are very attractive for the 350Z, coming in at around £3,000 to £6,000 depending on mileage, condition, etc. Stateside the story is slightly different. You will be looking at anything from $8,000 to $10,000 plus depending on the model, with Europe being the most expensive, with German cars coming in for around €11,000. This brings us to our most expensive car on the list as a whole, the BMW 335i. This twin-turbo, straight-six BMW is great from the factory, an accomplished daily driver, track or drift car. The engine setup is well placed to deliver some insane power figures. A Stage 1 tune can take the car close to 400 horsepower, offering some truly dangerous levels of power. This does come at a cost, however. The 335i is the most expensive option on our list. In the UK, you can find examples for around £5,000 to £6,000. In America, closer to $10,000 to $11,000, and Europe is pretty similar, with German prices at around €9,000. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video. We have tried to cover the main feedback we have had from previous videos around the price differences in different regions, and we hope this video is closer to the money in terms of its value to all our audience. If you have enjoyed this video, please let us know and we can continue to bring more balanced content for everyone. As always, if you want to catch our content on release, why not subscribe to the channel? We upload new content on a regular basis. For now, we would like to thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.